Okay, starting this week's video off, I spent, I don't know, 3 or 4 hours on the bottom side of this hood, scraping it, cleaning it, wire brushing it, blah, 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 blah. And I'm almost there. I need to spray some quick etch on a few areas that's got surface rust. But then there was this bracket here. And slide it in there, I'll show you. Oh, get in there, will you? I can show it a different angle here. Well, there was this bracket here that goes in here across this area right here, and you can't get to none of that back behind all that. I mean, it's just, yeah, right. So really, it's a support for the shell. You can see it was 3 spot welds on this side and 3 on the other. No big deal. So I went ahead and removed it so I could clean it up better and clean that up better. But you can see where they put seam sealer in between that bracket and the outer skin. So when I was sanding it, there was real weak across that area there. I'd start to run my sander across there and it was like, you know, vibrating like crazy. So with all that seam seal broke loose from all them spots and shrank over the years, the whole top of the hood was loose. So I'm going to have to redo the seam seal. And then there was some in here, and then there was some in there, and this area here was dented this way, so that loosened that area up. And then there's seam seal that goes in between these ones here. I'm not real familiar on how to do this because this is my first time doing a hood like this and going this deep into it. I'm wondering if I should lean it like that way, you know, lean back this way, squirt the seam seal in, and then lay it flat. That way it all drops back down onto the seam seal and then supports it. That's what I'm guessing. But anyways, I just wanted to show you that first video of the week, working on the bottom side of this hood. I pulled out a piece of sheet metal, but being Saturday, this is God's day, I didn't do a whole bunch of work today. Kind of hung around inside the house with the wife and kids, and came out a little bit and spread some paint remover on it, went back in, come back out, scraped it off, went back, or put some more on there and went back in, came back out, scraped it off again, went back in after putting some more of the paint remover on it, come out the last time and just took a wire brush to it all and wire brushed the whole thing where I could get. I couldn't get down in them areas, and I couldn't get further down in there until I removed that bracket. But I've been using a razor blade and a scraper and a couple wire brushes to get it clean. But alright, that's where I'm at with that. Got to get the bottom side of the hood cleaned up, primered, in paint, same way with this. Get that repaired, get my welds grinded down, put some short hair fiberglass across that lip right here. I probably should put my little stud welder on it and pull some of these up as far as I can get them, and then go ahead and put some short hair fiberglass across that part and fix that dent. Same thing here, pull this dent out a little bit and repair it. But other than that, the other side started popping some holes through after taking a wire wheel to it. So I will attempt to chase a few holes here. But alright, that's where I'm at. Got to get these cleaned up, primered, in paint, cleaned out, so I can get them mounted on the car and continue on with putting body parts on and lining them up as I go. Alright, now I can clean that piece up real good, and I can clean behind that piece, and I'll feel better about it. Alright, night-night. Alright, over here in my little world, debating the hood structure here. After getting it all cleaned up, I spoke with a friend of mine about these hail damage dents that are all over this hood, and I think my best option is going to be to remove all the spot welds down through the sides. It's got like one every so often, and then the spot welds across here, and then bend that rear lip up to remove this inner structure so that I can get to all them dents that are behind there, and at the same time I can clean all of that area up underneath the hood. It wasn't a stage that I was planning on having to do, but then after sanding the hood down and seeing all the hail damage on it, I think it's probably going to be the better bet, instead of smearing a whole bunch of plastic filler over it. And not only that, all the panel bond that goes in between these areas is pretty much gone. So you can see the skin is moved away from the outer. See how it moves back and forth. So when it comes to sanding that top, this is what you're going to get. You can see how that's moving. I don't know if you can see that on video, but you're going to get that flex. There you go. When you're sanding on it, and you'll never get it straight. So it's probably going to be better for me to pull the inner structure off, dolly and hammer all my dents out as good as I can get them, and then once that's done, put the panel bond back in between and sandwich the inner structure back onto the hood. That way it's solid and it's like it is from the factory. And when you're going down the highway at 150 miles per hour, the hood is not going to be going boo, 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 boo. Anyways, my little sound effects. So for me to pull the structure off of that, I have to have a place to be able to lay the hood, and you know where I'm at in my little bitty tiny garage. So what I'm going to do is I'm working on this back here now. I grinded all of that off on the inside there, and I'm adding this lip back to it. all the way across. I've made it about, I'm gonna say a little over halfway so far. I need to add one more piece in here, and it's basically a matter of cutting the piece out the right size, and then you got to shrink it to get it to fit in there correctly, like I did this one already. So with that said, I'm going to finish this up, chase these holes shut over here, and then once I get the holes chased, do a little bit of grinding on here on my welds, fold this lip back over, and then once I get the lip and everything folded back over with this hood, I should be done with all the welding and hammering and grinding that I need to have done on it. Anyways, that's the plan. Get the trunk lid done and out of the way, and flip the car. I'm gonna have to raise it back up, flip the car back over on its side, sand the roof, because that's another thing I need to get done. Sand the roof, and then I should be able to push the car all the way over that way, lay my hood out on my bodywork stands, and go ahead and start pulling that inner structure out. Alright, I'll get back with you. Alright, so time's getting away from me here. I got this all tacked in across there on that lip, and then I thought, oh well, let's just see if we can chase this corner, and no, it's not chaseable. It's just too crusty. So next option, just cut the whole corner off, cut the corner off of that one, and move on with life instead of fighting and carrying on. I don't know why I always think I can get away with just chasing some rust holes shut, because it doesn't work. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, I have to remake this video because music was playing in the background, and I'm not trying to get a copyright thing written up on my YouTube videos. So anyways, I got my porcupine going on here. You know, welded all my little dent puller studs on there. I've been pulling on these dents where it had all those little slice marks where they tried to pry the trunk open or something with it. But I'm gonna get ready to cut them off, and then I got a couple more that I couldn't get to because they're in between the ones that I welded and couldn't get to them. So cut those off, weld a couple more on, pull a couple more dents. I did get this corner welded on, cut off of that, and I got this one little patch to put in here. I'm going to throw some more tacks across that, and then do a little grind on there, and then smear seam seal across that. Dress all my welds here. So basically, do my welding, do my grinding, and then once I get done, I'm going to seam seal it, and then I will smear some short hair fiberglass on these areas here where I've welded, so that later I can sand it down. While I had this corner off, I went ahead and cleaned all the inside of the trunk lid and blew all the dirt out this hole, so it's clean in there now and nothing rattling around. So alright, where I'm at with it. I'll get back. Gotta do my porcupine here and moving on from that. Bye. Alright, so I got all the grinding done, and I smeared some short hair fiberglass on all the areas, the weld areas, and the dented area that was crosshair. I pulled most of those dents out, but still needed a little bit of help there. So at this point, I'm going to put this thing aside, and I'll come back and sand this later after it gets good and hard. But anyways, trunk lid is almost done and ready for primer and paint on the bottom. Like I said, just some fine tuning and some sanding at this point. Some seam seal around the edges, and that's about it. Let me get this thing out of the way. My next step is to get the roof sanded. Once the roof is sanded, then I'm going to raise the car up, basically flip it and move it all the way over to the edge over there. So it's going to gain me enough room to lay this on my stands and start drilling and taking out the inner structure. Alright, one step I wasn't expecting to have to do, but I gotta do it, because the hood has to be on the car before I can go and adjust anything, and the front valance has to be on. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to get everything put on the car, that way I can start, for the 999th time in my videos, repeat and repeat for a boat ride. And then I fell out, but alright, be back. Alright, so here's where I'm at with it. It took a while, but I got that top all sanded, and you can see the hail damage on that roof too. One good thing about it is it actually is showing up, so I'll know where to tap at. But anyways, all sanded down. My next thing is working on that hood and getting the skin off of it, or the inner shell and the skin separated. But right now I'm gonna go get something to eat. Been out here at this all day. The goals are accomplished, and if I can get that hood done today where it's separated, and get me ahead of where I need to be. Alright, last video for today. Got everything accomplished that I wanted to. Got the trunk repaired, smeared on some short hair fiberglass, got the hood structure and skin separated. So now I can go after all those hail damage areas and knock a lot of them out. I did throw some fast etch on here because this had surface rust all the way around pretty much, and I threw some fast etch on it, and let it set for a while, and took the wire brush to it and kind of cleaned it up. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that. And then, of course, I think I've already showed you in the other video, I got the roof part all sanded. I found with the car this way, it gives me a lot more room, because the bottom of the car kind of even with the rotisserie. When I flip it over the other way, the roof's all the way out here, so don't have as much room that way. Alright, so I'd show you that. Don't want anybody to think that I'm only doing this halfway. Yeah. No. Either way, that there will have to be wire brushed. So I got to get a new wire brush for my grinder. And I figure I'll wire brush it and then maybe spray paint it with something. I don't know what yet. Because I know I'm not going to be able to get all that surface rust off. But I'll be able to get a lot of the dirt and stuff off of it. But anyways, yeah, you can see where the panel bond is all across there. And panel bond here, and here, and here, and here. So they had panel bond on quite a few places, and it's just rotted out and dried out. Here, 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 here. I'm sure it had some here at one point. There, 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 there. And then that piece, of course, had several places across it with the panel bond. So that getting cleaned up, this getting cleaned up, knock all the dents out to the best of my knowledge, because I'm not a pro at nothing. And then use some more panel bond on all those sections when I slide it back in there. That way when I go to sand the hood, it's not going to be warped and bobbling around. Anyways, that fast etch, when you spray it on, it puts a coating, a protective coating on there. So, alright. It was fun. Can't say it was real fun. Alright. So, after taking a wire brush to it, and then spraying some Osfo on it, that's what I've come up with. Both sides pretty much cleaned up. Has a little bit of surface rust here and there, but that Osfo will kind of deaden it. I'll have to wipe it all off with some, I don't know, maybe some wax and grease remover, and then I'm going to put a coat of Pour-15 on it, spray a coat on. Meanwhile, on this, I went ahead and got it cleaned up as good as I could, and then I kind of looked at it on this side and found all the little shinies. Like, see how that's a little shiny in the center of there? And I circled all of the the shinies, and then I looked on the back side over here where it had the white spots still after I sanded it, and they pretty much correspond with the white spots. So it might look like a bunch, but it really isn't that bad. Now that I got the skin off, I'll just take my dolly and the slapper, and that would probably be the best way to deal with it. It's just take a slapper and put the dolly on the back side of it, and just go, a little bit of nothing too hard, just a slight little tap on each one of them, and once I get that done and that other part painted, pour 15 on the inside, then I will attempt to put it all back together and spot weld it back on where it needs to be. So anyways, just thought I'd show you that. I'm going to mess around here in a little bit after it cools down a little bit out here, and I'll come back out with the slapper and a dolly. Haven't decided which one I want to use yet. Maybe this one here. But alright, and that's where I'm at with that. Get back with you. Okay, so I used the old hammer and this here dolly for a while, and it seemed like with those two it was causing a little bit more damage, because if you couldn't really pinpoint the head of that, because it's not completely flat, of course, it's raised in the center. If you couldn't pinpoint that center on the dent, then you were causing a little bit more damage. So what ended up working was the slapper and that one. You could get more surface area under there to hammer, or excuse me, to slap with that toe dolly up underneath there. So as you can see, all those little white specks that were on there basically all came out and sanded out now that they're pretty much flat. There's some areas like that there that it's got a little bit of brown left in it, but that is primer, and that tiny little area of primer, I think I can live with that. And this is a white paint that I really couldn't live with, because that was a little bit deeper. And what I'm hoping is I've got it straight enough now that the old body man in a can, the polyester filler with 2 or 3 coats of it on there, I'm hoping that will level those out. That's the hopes. But I did notice after all that hammering and dollying, which basically is stretching the metal out, it's not got any except for right here in the center, which it's actually a lot less than it was. Stiff here, just right in this area, but that's where the brace comes across there. So I'm hoping that after all that hammering and dollying and stretching the metal out to get rid of the hail damage, it really did stiffen the hood up. So it's going to be a lot easier to sand when it comes time to sand with the flat board. Alright, that's where I'm at. I'm tired and I'm going in. I'm done. I need to take this back out tomorrow and spray some of that fast etch on this side of the hood. I forgot to do it today. I got the other side pretty much coated, but I need to do some fast etch on this side here too, so that it gets rid of that little bit of surface rust. But anyways, I even hammered these areas flat that had the hood pins on it. So, alright. The job I wasn't expecting to have to do is almost complete. I'll be able to get this hood back together, get it painted on the bottom, and ready to install on the car. I do still have to do the little bit of body work on that, which ain't too bad. A little bit of sanding, and then get some paint and primer and paint on the bottom of the deck lid, the hood, and get ready to get them installed. Alright, see you later. Alright, so where I'm at with today is working on that inner structure some more. Took it out and wire brushed a little bit more. Got a couple small brushes to get in the little tight spots, but got it all cleaned up. Took some wax and grease remover to it. Got it all cleaned up on both sides, and I am shooting some Pour 15 on the inner part of it. I won't be using the Pour 15 on the other surface that's going to be painted, but I figured this would be pretty good protection for the inside of the inner structure. So that's all I'm going to do with it, is shoot that on there. As for the inside of the hood, I don't know yet. I'm thinking about just doing the either etch primer or the epoxy on the inside of the hood. I don't plan on painting the inner structure up in there, so I'm thinking maybe clean it up and maybe rattle can some etch primer on it, or mix up a little bit of epoxy and shoot some epoxy on it, one or the other. Haven't decided yet, so that's where I'm at with that. That way it will be somewhat protected. I'm not going completely out for, you know, paint and color on that section. I will be primering and painting the trunk lid, and once the inner structure is in here, then I will shoot some color on the entire bottom part of it. This is just an extra little step I didn't even have to take, but I thought, well, what the hell. I own the 415, so why not? I coated the other parts of the inner structure with 415. So, alright. Got one coat on and let it tack up a little bit, and then I'm going to shoot one more coat and be done with that. Later. Okay. So, after a little bit of putting your glasses on and getting right down into the panel and looking, I do have this has got a little ding going this way that I need to take care of, and I got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 more spots that they're almost out, but they're showing just a little bit of a dimple. I mean, it's right there. It's so close. So them are some that I'll just have to work at and kind of fine tune. This is all in primer, etch primer, and then this side is pour 15. So inner structure is done. Just have to wait until I get all these dents knocked out to start getting the structure put back in the skin. Alright, I'll get back with you on it. Alright, not much to show but a big ass mess. I gotta get all this cleaned up. Went out to the paint store and got a quart of epoxy primer to get these primered. Started working on this, doing the body work and trying to get it straightened up. Got all the dents knocked out of this, and got that all cleaned up. I still need to clean this piece up here and put it back on, and then I'm hoping tomorrow sometime I'll be able to go ahead and shoot some epoxy primer on the inside of this and on the trunk lid. Like I was saying, I'm working at this, getting it straightened up. Once this is getting in primer, I can go ahead and put this all back together, get it in primer, put it back together, weld it all up, clean up my welds, and then I should be able to put some paint and some clear on the two pieces to get them ready to be installed on the car. Meanwhile, back at the ranch here, I'm working on the hinges. I took and hammered these pins back tight, and then once I got the pins tight, I just welded around the edges of them so they're not all loose and stuff like they was. Well, this one anyways. Still need to do the other side, but it's not as bad as this one was. But that's my fix for that, and get that cleaned up, reinstalled, get this stuff done and paint on it. That's my goal. Once I get that done, like I've been saying over and over again, I'm going to be able to finally get this car down on the ground and stationary in a certain place where I can go ahead and start the tedious part of body work, sheet metal work. I'm gonna have to work on that and address that area for sure. Don't know what's going on there, but I will get it figured out and get it straightened up and get it looking good. Alright, just thought I'd show you where I was with the trunk lid and the hood. Like I said, all the dents are knocked out of the hood, and I did a second round on them with the slapper today, and I'm pretty sure I got them pretty nice. I'm going to just need very, very little filler on that hood to get it straightened up. But alright, later. Okay, Saturday morning. It's been too warm over here in Kansas all week really to come out here and do much. I've been coming out, doing a little bit, going back in, you know the deal. And I also had service calls pretty much all week. So, got a mess out here. I clean up my mess. And this is another reason that I didn't want to come out. I didn't even follow my own rules, and it's overwhelmed now. But anyways, I come out last night, and I kind of taped off the area that I'm going to put seam sealer on it, on the trunk lid, across this back. Factory had it on there. I figure I'll put it back. Seam seal, seam seal, seam seal. Alright, get the seam sealer put on it. Let that start drying, and then maybe clean up my mess. I do need to clean that piece up, get it reattached, well, primer it, and then get it reattached. Okay, I'll get back with you guys on this. Oh, what joy. Alright. Got the seam sealer on. Done. Probably better than factory because they didn't tape it all when they done it. They just smeared it on there. Alright. I let that dry while I clean up some tools and get this garage presentable again because it's kind of funky out here right now. Alright, get back with you on it. Alright, that's where I'm at. Cleaned up my area. That was most important, was getting things cleaned back up. Seam seal has been done. I showed you in that last video. I went through and kind of cleaned up and fine-tuned a little bit of the Bondo and stuff like that because it was 80 grit. I went ahead and hit it with some 220, but for the most part it's cleaned up. It's ready to shoot some primer on. Same with this, just kind of blowing some dust off of it here and there. This piece here, I got it all cleaned up and reattached to the hood on both sides. So while I'm shooting a little epoxy on that, I'll shoot a little bit on them sections, or that section should I say, and get that cleaned up and ready to install on the car. Some of the tools that I dumped out of this box into the floor in here, I put the majority of them away. Still a few more things on the floor I gotta get cleaned up, but that's neither here nor there. I did talk to Glen Ray the other day, and my radiator should be on its way Tuesday. My 28-inch B body only 73-74 radiator, because I have to have a car that's got a special radiator. But I don't feel so bad because I know how you 71 Charger guys are that's got the 1 year only fenders. So I've been there and done that too, so hunting them fenders down is unicorn for sure. But anyways, just thought I'd show you where I'm at. Getting close to shooting a little bit of epoxy over here. I'm going to go over everything on the trunk lid one more time, because that is an area that will be seen a lot at car shows, where this not so much, but it's cleaned up anyways. Alright, another once over just to make sure. Like a little bit of surface rust right here. I'll go ahead and take the grinding wheel to that. It had some surface rust in there that I got rid of the majority of, but had another dent here that I didn't see before, one here. Just cleaning up dents, and one here, just like right now. Let's see, another little spot here. Excuse me, here, here, and here. So that's why I wanted to once over it again, because you miss stuff. You don't always catch it the first go around. So with that said, got a little dent here that needs to be hammered back in, but I will address those 3 spots that I see right now, 4, and go from there. Get back with you. Alright, so I don't know, probably about an hour or so out here, jacking around. Went ahead and did 80 on this, that way I know my epoxy is going to adhere to it. Seam seal done. Double checked all the body work, and found a couple more places that I had to address back in that area. Across here, a couple little dents in this area. Here, there. But anyways, after fine-tuning it and going over all the little dents and stuff, I believe I got them all done, cleaned up. This is all cleaned up. Getting ready to do a wax and grease remover on it, on both pieces. Mix up some epoxy, spray that, flip it over and do the other side of it. Get this all sprayed, and get this all sprayed in epoxy. Alright, get back with you. Okay, so this is my end cap video for the week. Got all this in epoxy primer, and I will work on getting the inner section back on the skin. While I had the primer out, I went ahead and shot some epoxy on the breather and on my fender tags. So that's where I'm at with it. Epoxy primer on the inside, and then epoxy primer that. And like I said, I'll work on getting that reinstalled on this, but that'll be next week's video. Alright, that's it for me. I'm out of here.